is your infj mom. And I am here today to talk about one of my favorite and recently brought to my attention by Holy Spirit, one of my favorite pastimes, complaining. Now, I'm not talking about when there is a legitimate issue, or you're having a problem, or you're struggling with something, and you need to talk to someone about it. You need to bring it to another human being for some compassion, counsel, insight. I'm talking about straight up complaining. When everything is good and we need to find something to be miserable about. Because I don't know about you, but that is like one of my favorite pastimes. I used to refer to myself as a master complainer because I could find something to complain about in any circumstance. Just give me a minute and I will find something to complain about. So, yes, best wife ever. I love this cup, especially because I bought it for myself. Although I'm sure my husband would agree that I'm the best wife ever. Anyway. Complaining. You know, I talk to a lot of people. I work in a salon, as many of you know. So for the last 21 years, I spend my time cutting, coloring, blow drying, styling hair. And a large part of my job is conversation. And back when I asked God to show me the condition of my heart, slowly a few things have come up to my realization or, consciousness, or come up in my spirit that I need to pay attention to. And recently one of them that has been the power of life and death is in the tongue. The power of life and death is in the words we speak. And, back to what comes out of the mouth is the overflow of the heart. And how much I complain. And how much conversation revolves around complaining. So that's been brought to my attention that I need to pay attention to the words I speak over my life, the words I speak over myself, the words I speak over my circumstances, and whether they are legitimate or if they are just complaining, griping, whining, and not doing anything. Because complaining about something and taking no action to change it is pretty fruitless. Or complaining about something that you have no control over and you couldn't change even if you had all the powers to change. Kind of pointless. So it's just mindless rambling, really. And it's a way to fill space in conversation. So I guess since it was brought to my attention, I'm trying to catch myself into complaining. And I'm not really trying to be like one of these positive vibes only people, because that kind of makes me a little sick to my stomach, because you can't always be positive. You just can't. You can speak life into situations instead of speaking death. You can say, I know that this is going on, but I see this good thing working through it. And I know that you can speak life into situations. For some reason, I can't give you a good example of that right now, rather than speaking death. You can find blessings in things, even things that are hard. And sometimes you can't, and sometimes that's just reality. But I'm finding that complaining is one of the ways that I have, those words that are just useless. And they almost make you feel worse about a situation instead of better. Sometimes we are going and complaining for validation, for approval from other people, to be patted on the back, to be told once again, oh yes, Joy, your life is so hard. And a lot of our lives we choose, we choose to stay, we choose to live in what we live in, we choose to do what we're doing, and we choose our behavior. And we can't choose how people react to our behavior. And if we're going to sit and complain about our own behavior and other people's reaction to it, well, then yeah, some of that's our own fault, you know. I can sit and complain about how, you know, my children don't clean up after themselves all of the time, but whose job was it to train them and make sure that they do that instead of waiting on them hand and foot and expecting them to then decide when they got to a certain age that they were going to switch their behavior and not expect me to do everything? Mine. So complain about it or change it. Expect them, you know, request that they help, or just accept my reality and be thankful I have children to clean up after. Yeah. So what I decided I'm going to try to do, and maybe you guys can try it too and see what happens, is see when you're having a conversation with somebody if you can leave out complaining. And like I said, I'm not talking about, you know, pointing out or looking for support if you're really struggling in an area or you're having a hard time with something. Because if you have pain in your body or heart, that's not complaining, that's sharing and looking for help and support. That's a different situation. Just finding things to nitpick at, to complain about, to point out that are bad, and that's what I'm talking about. So in your conversations, in my conversations at work this week, I'm going to see if I can not add to the complaining and see what happens to the conversation, just as a little social experiment, because I like those kinds of things. And I also want to change my heart condition in that way. And I want to allow, because my father has been speaking to me about my heart condition, and one of them is I have a bit of complaining that I do quite a lot. Rather than speaking life into things, I'm speaking death. So I am going to try to leave out the complaining. And if I don't have, you know, and instead of complaining, maybe just say nothing if I don't have something positive that's not fake to say. And see what happens to my conversations. So a little bit for you guys today. That's what's going on in my head this morning. And yeah, I've been very, very busy with work and family and life and everything else, just like everyone else is, but more busy than I normally am. I'm working an extra day a week now, so less time for leisure and less time for relaxing and less time for YouTube, which is good and bad. And I'm also learning to play the ukulele, so I've been doing that in my spare time a little bit in the evening, which has been really good for me. It's funny because I love all the modern worship songs that have come out in the last, 10 years or so. But what my heart has been drawn to is the old hymns I sang as a child. So I've been playing a lot of those on the ukulele and singing my little heart out. My poor family and my poor dogs, they have to listen to it. But the dogs aren't howling, so it must not be too bad. Anyway, have a good day, guys. Let's see how we do without complaining and how our conversations with people go without adding to the favorite, I want to say American pastime, but I think it's a human pastime of complaining. So, live and love out of the way you were created.